I am Wes Lapp. I'm here with my friend Alan, and we're going to show you how to build a ramp launcher. This is the 7th version of the launchers I've been building. It works great. The reason I built it was I wanted to make it easier to do dock starts. I wanted it to be easier to teach my friends how to do the dock starts. And the third thing is, a lot of times when I was dock starting, my friends would be using my foils and they get all dinged up in the concrete and everything, and it's so frustrating. So the ramp actually holds the foil out away from the dock, and it protects the foil, makes it way less, getting all messed up and everything. There's 4 different files that you need to choose from when you download your plans. The first thing you need to figure out is the printer you're going to use. Is it a European printer or is it an American printer? The European printers use A3 paper. So you're going to download the file that says A3. American printers use 11 by 17 inch paper, also called tabloid paper. If you have an American printer, you want to download the file that says 11 by 17. We got 2 ramp launchers here. The green one's taller, the orange one is shorter. And what that means on this dock, this is a tall dock, and you can see the board isn't even in the water. So it's at the right height for the green one, but it's not in the water. The second thing you need to figure out is how high your dock is. You're going to measure your dock height. Okay? If your dock height is more than 10 inches high, or 250 millimeters, you're going to download the short ramp plans. If your dock height is less than 10 inches, or 250 millimeters high, you're going to download the tall ramp plans. So again, if you have a short dock, you're going to get you want to use the tall ramp. If your dock is high, you're going to use the short ramp. Okay, we got the board on the orange on the shorter one, the shorter ramp, and you can see that's just perfect. You want the foil and the tail a couple inches below the water when you set it up, and you can adjust the PVC. You can rotate it so you can adjust it up and down. But that's perfect. That's because this dock is really tall. Now we're going to go to a shorter dock, and we'll show you what it looks like where the green one's going to work better. All right, we've got both ramps set up on a much shorter dock. This dock's only about 7 inches above the water. And so you can see the taller green ramp is way better. It's got the board set up nice and high, and the foil's a couple inches of the water, and you've got all that mass length to start your dock pumping with. So it's gonna work better than the shorter orange ramp. So, if you have a lower dock, then you definitely want the taller ramp. And if you have a taller dock, you're going to go to a lot of times public docks are taller. They're just built like more industrial. Then doing the shorter ramp is better. But if a lot of home docks are floating docks, they're not as tall, then you want the taller ramp. This is pretty much everything you need to build the ramp launcher. We got a half sheet of plywood. They sell these at Home Depot at 3/4 inch. They're about $50. We got some PVC fittings. We got some spray mount adhesive that we're going to use Craft. It's like a Walmart thing. We'll have links in the description. We got these printouts. These are going to be the templates for making the ramp launcher over there. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to make this. Technically, I'm a rocket scientist, and it helped to do all the CAD and engineering, but hopefully it's really simple. You just screw things together, and you'll see how it goes with these. We got 15 templates. You can print these. There's a PDF. You can take that to Kinko's or UPS store, copy store, and print them out in these 11 by 17 sheets. And then they got the lines that you're going to cut with the jigsaw, so that's good. And then over here, we got some deck pads. It's got the adhesive on it to really stick it down. We like to use contact cement as a base layer, but this is from Amazon, and $150, maybe $200 max. You can buy all this stuff and you can start making your own launcher. Putting the sheets onto the plywood. These sheets are the templates that you're going to use to cut all the pieces out. These dark black lines are where they're either the edge of the plywood or where you're actually going to cut with a jigsaw. And then these sheets, they line up and they go together, and you line up these black little dot lines and you line up these grid lines here. This one lines up with the edge, and we're going to spray the sheets down one at a time, and you'll totally see as we're going along how it all works. I also want to talk about the grain. The plywood, if you're using a huge sheet of plywood, the long length is the direction of the grain. If it's a half sheet, just look at the way the lines are kind of going on here. They're going this lengthwise. We're going to line up these lines with the sheet numbers on here so that we have the plywood oriented in the way that's going to be the strongest for the ramp. We're starting to lay out the sheets that you've got printed out onto the plywood. And the big thing is, these sheets have an outer line, right? So you're gonna have this outer line that's continuous, lined up right with the plywood. See that? And along this edge here. And we got these push pins, and we just put 2 pins in each one to hold in place, and then we'll spray mount them down. And we'll show you how to do that one sheet at a time. These black lines are all the cut lines in here, but on this edge, this black line is actually the edge of the plywood. So we're just gonna line it up. We're not gonna cut on that line. We got sheet number 1 in this upper corner. The length of the sheet is going with the length of the grain, and this outer continuous line is lined up right with the grain of the wood. You can kind of push it down with your thumb and see where the fold is. And I got 2 push pins holding this in. Now I'm going to jump over to the sheet number 3 because this is in the corner, and I'm going to line that one up. I'm going to get that lined up right there and lined up right there, and I kind of can push it with my thumb. And that looks really good. And I'm going to put 2 of these push pins in. You have to push them very hard. And you see it's a little windy, so we're getting all that. And then I'm going to do sheet 2. Now for sheet 2, I'm lining this up on the edge of the wood, and I'm putting it right in between. We're going to go down this edge with sheet, and we're going to jump, and you see I'm lining this up right with these edges, and I'm putting the sheets right. So we got sheet 7. This is the next one. Go in there. I'm lining that up and that up. And jump down to sheet 13. I'm going to put this down here. Now in this one, this line is the same as that black line. So we're going to cut on the black lines. So that black line goes a little bit over here, over right there. See how I'm doing my thumb thing? All right. Look at that. It goes right in between. And we're lining that up like that. Geez, whoever lined this out, I'm just going to rocket scientist, huh? I'm going to jump over to this 15 one and get this one going. Now on this black line, I'm going to have that black line kind of go off the edge there, because that's kind of what we have one left over. And then this sheet 14, again, the black, we're going to have it be just on the outer edge of that. Because the black lines, the reason they're thick is because that's kind of the width of the jigsaw blade. So when you're making the cuts, you're gonna try and cut right down the middle of the black line. We're doing this last edge. We'll do those middle ones at the end. And again, we're taking this and we're lining these edges up right there on the plywood. This is sheet 9. And that lined up. And your plywood might be a little bigger, a little smaller. So if it's a little bigger, you can just have the plywood stick out some. If it's a little smaller, then you can scooch the sheets together a little bit. Like see here, I got a little space here, that's fine. But I'll scooch this down and have that space be up there. It's gonna be fun. We're doing the last 3 in the inside here, and we're gonna just have these line up kind of right where they're going to fit in the middle over here. Now you got all 15 sheets down the plywood. They're all lined up, they're all centered, they're all matched up along this edge, along the edge of the plywood. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna spray these down. So when you're cutting, you're just gonna cut right along the edges. It's gonna be really pretty simple to get all these shapes and stuff. And the way we're gonna do it, it's a little super pro tip. I'm gonna take some blue tape on this sheet number 1. I'm gonna put it down on sheet number 4, right? I'll put a couple of little weights there and pull this up. I'm gonna fold this over, right? And then what we wanna do is we wanna spray that sheet and just spray the plywood a little bit. And you can do it really quick, just like that. And then, because it's taped on there, right? We're just gonna go like that. We're gonna stick it down. And it's a little windy today, which is great. You don't want to breathe this stuff. You can hold your breath. You can have a fan blowing on it. You can even reuse this tape. And I'm going to put it on this next one. All right. I'm going to pull the pins off. I'm going to flip it up. And I'm going to spray it again. All right, once I spray it, careful. And if you do it down wrong, you can pull it up again. It's remountable. This isn't like permanent bond 3M77. This is temporary or permanent bond, so you can use it for repositioning. We'll be able to pull these off later. Anything like this at a craft store or Walmart. Sheet number 3, I'm going to make these a little more reusable. I'm going to make these a little longer. And I'm going to fold these over so we have little tabs we can pull off. Kind of cool. And then we can just reuse this tape over and over again. This blue tape, it's painter's tape, so it is designed to be pulled on and off a little bit more. Pull it up. Pull that a little bit. Spray this down here. Spray that up there. And then put it down. Boom. All right. And now we're just going to keep going all the way down. Actually, we can do that next one. You don't have to move the tape. How about that? So like that. And like that. And like that. And then just like that. Going to be even a little more tricky. We're going to do this one in the middle. Watch this, and then we only have to move the tape one time. Like that. We're going to pull these pins up to this side. And pull those pins up to this side. We're going to do all these. For these ones, I'm gonna put my tape here in the middle. Actually, see, I got a little gap here, so I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to slide this one down just a little bit, so it's a little more in the middle. Tape it down, and then I'm going to put the tape here, the tape here, and that way I can do both of these kind of at the same time. All right, 2 more to go. The printer can't print all the way to the edge of the sheets, so there's some gaps in these lines. And just to make it more clear, I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to fill these gaps in. See that? So I'm filling that one in. I'm filling this one in. I'm going over here, filling that one in. Just kind of have them go together. And that way when you're cutting, it's less confusing how it's all going to work. There's one right here, right? There's one right here. Because when you're cutting, you definitely don't want to cut the wrong thing. But the way this works out is you're cutting on the dark lines, these big dark lines. And your blade's going to go right in the middle. You're going to go right down the middle of that. So it's almost like the blade will make it disappear when it's cutting it. some on this side. Now these are by the edge, but they actually do get cut because see the plywood goes to right here. There's one right here, and there's one right here. So now it looks like it's all good to go. All right, boom, wood. So I'm gonna lift this up like this, and on this side over here, but we're just cutting on the black lines. So this first cut goes all the way up, and you can see I'm cutting right through the paper. So you're only going to use the templates once, but it makes it really simple. Okay, ready? Now let's do a close-up of that. See how this jigsaw is going? We're going right down the middle of that black line. So when you're cutting, you're just looking at the black line, and you're watching the blade of the jigsaw, and you're just keeping them right. We're going to do a little close-up of when you get to a corner like this, what to do. And what I'm going to do with the jigsaw is I'm going to push it this way, I'm going to back it up, and I'm going to go like this, back and forth, just really small, and slowly turn it, and then I'll make the corner. So we'll just show a close-up of that. Okay, ready? One more pro tip: when I'm going into this corner, right, I can have the saw on and just pull it out. But when you pull it out, the blade often hits this and it bends and stuff. So it's better just to go to the corner, turn this off, set up over here, and turn it back on again. So I'll just show you that works. So wait for the saw to stop, then pull it out, and then put it over here. That way your blade doesn't get all bent from hitting the wood. I'm cutting out these small pieces. This part here looks like it might be scrap, but it's part of the build. So when you're cutting stuff out, like, don't throw anything out until you're totally done, okay? Keep all the small pieces, because a lot of those small pieces we're using, all right? We got our pieces all cut out. I peeled off the paper. It comes off pretty easy. We cleaned them all off, got the sawdust all cleaned up, and this is what is going to be turned into that, right? We're gonna screw it together. We're gonna add the decking. We gotta glue the PVC, cut that. That's a whole nother thing, but we're getting close. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces. So we're gonna build this first. We got a 9/64 inch drill bit that we're going to do the pilot holes with. We got our torque driver with the screws, and then we got their 3.5 inch by number 10 hex or torque drive screws. You can use other 3.5 inch ones, but that's what we're using today. All right, and the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to build this product. So we're going to get that's lined up nice. So I've drilled that first hole, and you can see that hole down in there, right? Now, I actually want that hole to be more in the middle. So I'm just going to re-drill it in the middle. And I'm going to look on the side to make sure it's going all the way straight down. If I drilled it all the way down from up here, right, then a lot of times I'm at a weird angle and my drill would come out the side or whatever. So this way I got the hole in the middle and I got that lined up. And now I'm going to put the screw in. And what you're going to see is it's not going to line up exactly perfect, but it's better to have it strong than lined up. So see how I got that screw out there? And then I'm going to drop that down in that hole. And then I'm going to screw that all the way down. And it goes all the way down. Okay, now I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do 5 screws here. But now that I got that one in, I'm just gonna put them all like this. So I'm gonna go like this halfway across. 1. Do one here. Do one here. One here. Now I'm gonna rotate this out and see I got all my holes here. So now I can go in these holes and I can line this up so it's right down the middle and go all the way down. And on this one, I'm gonna angle this one just a little bit because it's a little off center. This one's right in the middle. I'll keep it nice and straight. This one's a little off to the side, so I'm going to angle it just a little bit so it goes with it. And when I put these screws in, they'll pull it up really tight. We end up taking some of them off, but you can feel that I have it it's just under there a little bit. And this is off here a little bit. It's totally fine. Don't worry about that. The main thing is you want these screws to be in the middle of this. And you can see you line this up down here. You line it up right there. And then you can do that guy. And then the same thing. You're gonna line this up. Nice and good. So again, I'm gonna have the screws stick out a little bit, right, like that, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna line it up with that hole. See what gets like that, and we're not gonna drill all the way in, right? We're just gonna go down until we touch it. And we're gonna do that same thing. I'm lining up. Okay, now this is the part where it's a little bit different. I'm gonna pull this out. You don't want to drill these. You don't want to drill these all the way through from here, because it's hard to get the angle. But once you have the place location, then you can come back. You can line it up to the middle, right here. Line it up in the middle, and then we can come back and we can screw these in. And again, I'm gonna make sure that's lined up with the screw sticking out. And before I tighten that down, I'm gonna do the screw down here. Same thing. See, I got the screw sticking out a little bit here, and then I can feel it that it's in that hole right there. So when I screw it like this, it's gonna pull that up tight. See that? So once these are tight, then we can go and do this line down here. What was that? And we'll do, now in this one, back. See, in this back, we've got a couple screws that are going to go into the side. So we don't want to put a screw right here at the bend. I'm going to move this up a little bit so it's not going to interfere with those screws. So we're going to put one about right here. And I'm just kind of lining that up. If you're not sure how to do it, you can take a plywood like that, and that's where the middle is. You can just do that. And you'll feel when it drops through. So you're just going to do it. Do one in the middle here. Make sure this is lined up. Make sure that's lined up. We'll do one more here. Okay, now we're gonna take this, we're gonna disassemble this because we want to drill all these holes once there. so we can see them. So these are pretty lined up, pretty nice in the middle. I'm gonna look right down from the top. Again, we want to make sure the screws don't go in different holes, so I'm going to have these screws stick out a little bit. And when we come back with this, I'll make sure these go in those same holes. Yeah. This back piece on here, this one lines up with the end of this, so these guys stick out, and these screws are going to go in like this right here. So when we put this screw in, we're going to start it like right about there. I'm just, yeah. Measure from this side, right there. Then we'll do one here in the middle. See how this one's a little off center? So instead of doing this vertical, I'm going to angle it. And that screw will it'll bend a little bit when it goes in, but then it'll stay in the middle of that board. And again here, we're going to have that stick through. So we got both these screws sticking through. And then when we line this up, we can make sure that those screws are going right into those pilot holes. And then it's all super bomber. Okay, now we have space for these on the sides. This last piece on for this that's going to line up just like that, and we want to make sure this lip has room in here to drop down just like that, and it does. Now we're going to do these with two, and when we put these screws in, we want to miss these screws, right? So I'm going to angle this one down just a little bit, angle this one up just a little bit when I put it in there.
I love you.
Love you, Zan. Have fun. Be safe. And then we'll just keep going with these. We're doing the fab on the second part of the ramp. I'm going to center this. I'm putting it right at the front, and I'm going to drill a hole here. I'll angle this hole a little bit, hole over here. Okay, I got these two and I'm going to test fit this. Sometimes it's a little tight, but look at that. That looks great. Got the ramp here, it's all set up. We sanded this a little bit to get the fit a little snug, but that's all good. And now we're going to put these on. Now, these are feet that go in the middle here. And one thing that can happen is if this ramp bows a little bit, or if there's any kind of unevenness in your dock, then if these are too tall, it can kind of teeter-totter. So what I'm doing is I'm marking this kind of right where it goes with that, and then I'm going to move it up one. So there's a little gap under there, and I'll screw it in right there. And that way when you're stepping on it, you know, it'll flex down and grab, but it won't be teeter-tottery. And I'm going to do that. And I'll do one screw. So I got this marked right where it's kind of even, and I'm going to move it up one, and I'm going to look at that other one and see if it's lined up. That looks great. See, these are off a little bit, which is fine. You can rotate them. So now we're just going to rotate them so they're right together. That looks great. And then we'll sight down the top here and put one in here. took all our tools away. We wiped all the sawdust off. You really don't want to have dust around or when you have these things because they're all sticky and then I'll stick to that. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this right in half. We'll have light green, dark green. And they have lots of different colors on Amazon, but I like the alternating colors. See that over there? Because that gives you a mental cue of where your feet are going to go. All right, so I'm marking this in half, 16¼ inches. A couple marks on there. Come over here. This is going to be our halfway line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do our light green up here. We're going to use one of these nice edges right here, and there's a little bit on each side, and we're going to cut it a little bit over. So we're going to go ½ inch over on that. So it'll be hanging over, and we glue it, and then we'll come back with a knife and we'll trim it off. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. We'll have this nice edge here. We'll move it over just a little bit. So we got a ½ inch over here. We'll cut a ½ inch over there. We'll leave a ½ inch over here. So we got our dark green piece here. It's a little extra on all the sides. We got our light green piece. It's a little extra on all the sides. I just left this the full width. And now so this is super pro tip. You can stick this down. It's got adhesive on there, but it doesn't stick down that well. If you coat this with contact cement first and then stick it down, it's way better. So here's our contact cement. Here's a piece of cardboard. Now what I'm going to do, I want to cut this cardboard so it's just narrower than the opening of the can. Right? And you'll see exactly how this is going to work. This saves you hassle and money and time. See that? It fits right in there. And I'm going to take this, I got a super sharp X-Acto knife, and I'm going to go on this, and I'm going to cut this. We'll do it right over here. At an angle, a really shallow angle, just like that. See that? So we're going to go like this, and we're going to cut it like that, and we're going to get this nice edge. And see how it has the little, it's got the, see that? That's going to be our brush, and that sucks the contact cement up, and that has it go down. And that's going to work awesome. So we'll just go like that. We'll go like that. And then you watch this. And you just need to barely get it wet, right? So you see that? You see how it's still coming out there? That's good. You can put on extra. It's just, you don't really need it. So we got our contact cement on here. We got our line. This is another pro tip. I'm going to fold this back. Right, like that, right? So when I put this down, I can move it around without having, because once you touch it down, you're pretty much doing it. So I got my hand here, I'm lining this up. I'm going to put this down like this, just like that, and then pull this off, and look at that. And then we got extra all along there. And pretty much that is never coming off. Okay. Now we're going to do this one. Now you actually want to stick these together right here with some glue. That makes it a little stronger. So I'm going to put a little glue here, just like this. I'm just going to go right like that, right along there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. And then we're going to do our pro tip, right? That's lined up. We're going to peel this back. We're just going to do it just about like that. I'm going to put this down. That looks good. Just stick these together, just like that. Hold it back. Look at that. Trimming this off. So I'm cutting that. I'm going to hold this with my hand. Got my nice X-Acto knife. You can do this with scissors too, and we're going to sand and bevel this later, so it doesn't have to be exact. But there you go. Our traction pads, what we're going to do is we're going to have the same length here, and we're going to have it, and we're going to put it right in the middle. So the way I'm going to do that is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this so it's the exact same length as that on both sides. All right. We got our piece of green that's the same length as this that we cut. We got it hanging over both edges, and then what I've done is I've measured it so it's the same here as it is down here. Actually, it's a little, move it up just a little bit. All right, that looks great right there. And now what I'm going to do is you can measure it with the tape to get exact. You can use a square, but I'm going to do that. And that looks great. And then we're going to mark that with a Sharpie right here. We got our contact cement, the whole thing. We got our line right here. We're going to go off that. And we're doing the same thing. We're going to peel this back. Going to fold that paper over just like that. And that way we can have this. We can kind of move it around. Get it all right where we want it. Line it up. Put it down. Just like that. Pull this back, take it down. Look at that. We got our green thing put down there, and we're going to do a little bit. We're going to do on the edge here. We're going to do right there, just on that edge. And then we're going to do this edge over here. And do this edge. Okay. And then the same deal. I'm going to peel this back. It's a little slimy. Fold it over. Line this up. Just like that. Down. Same thing over here. So now we can sand these edges a little bit. We can bevel these, and then we'll sand some of this all around. I'll just show you a little bit of how that works. So you can see how nice that looks right there. Nice beveled edge. And then this is nice and sanded. And you know, you can go and sand this whole thing, take it apart, sand all the edges. That way when you're grabbing it, it's not sharp, it's not poking. Our PVC, we got a 10-foot length of PVC. They cut in half for us, just so we can put it in the car as your Schedule 40, 1 inch. And then this is our cut list. We got a 2 30 inches, we got 2 at 12 inches, we got 4 at 6 inches. And you cut these with a hand saw, with a hacksaw. We're gonna use a cut-off saw. You can use a skill. This is showing you how the ramp's gonna work. It extends like that. This screws in, it gets tight. This part of the PVC, we don't glue it together. And the reason is because for different boards, sometimes they're going down, sometimes they're going up. You can adjust this angle. And then sometimes it'll work its way out, so we have it attached with a string. And also when you put it in your car, this slides back, and then you can just put that like there, so it doesn't take up as much space. So we're gluing the PVC. We're just gluing these 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Those 4 and 4 on both sides. And don't glue this part here. Okay, we're gluing the PVC. We got our PVC purple primer. You maybe don't have to use this, but I'm a little anal, so there you go. Got some purple. We're doing this cardboard box so we don't get all messy everywhere. And we got this. Go around, easy peasy. Go around there. And then you'll see when you're doing this, as you're putting it together, it slides nice and easy. You can still rotate it. Some people say you twist it right at the end. Now, once we do the second one, you're going to want to make sure it's lined up. So as you're twisting it in, you got to make sure that's straight with that, or it's not going to be what you want. All right, so that's one. One more thing. So I'm doing this other one. This one's already built. That's all we need. And on this one, we're making the mirror image. So we're not, if we do it the same and we flip it over, this sticks up. So it's got to be like that. It's got to be opposite. So we're going to go in here, do our purple, do our blue, do our blue. Okay, and then as we're sticking this together, we're laying them down so they're all lined up. This is all lined up. Beautiful. So we got our long pieces now. And again, we got this one all set up. These are nice and straight. And we're doing a mirror image. So this is exactly a mirror of that. And we're going to glue these on and line them up. We got purple. We got blue. They're lined up. And then we slide that on. Getting this nice and straight. Okay. Do you want to sand these they're little molding nibs. We're going to sand these off on these ones. All right, so that's what they look like when all those nibs are sanded off smooth. We're going to add this line to connect the small PVC pipe to the big one here. You can adjust it for different board sizes, but then sometimes it'll come off and then it won't stink or you won't lose it or anything. I'm going to do a hole right here. Got 1.5 inches up here. We'll do one because this has got to slide in, so we're going to move it so it's... I'm using kite line for this. You can use any kind of string or rope. I'm using 2 lengths just because then if one breaks, you still got the other one. And then we're going to tie a knot and we'll pull it back in. And then we're going to pull it back like this. 12 inches, we'll cut it, and then we'll tie another knot. Put these 2 in here, where they come out like that. Nice and even. Tie another knot in here. Trim this extra off. And that's ready to go. There's different ways you can mount to the dock. This dock has a wooden little part here. So I'm going to drill some holes and I'm going to put some screws in. We're going to set this PVC up. They're adjustable, but depending on the mast height and the height of your dock, it's going to shift how you set it up. I got it here kind of where I want it, just in a little bit. You want to come and hold this. We got this one screwed in. Now we're going to drill this one. So we measured these, and we're doing exactly the same as the other side. You're live. You need to be down a little bit lower.
Yeah.
You can be up a little bit, but that's totally cool. Yeah, like that's all totally cool. Do it again.